let's talk AEW's Double or Nothing on a incredibly long pay-per-view. Uh, Damn near WrestleMania-esque, if I'm being very honest. It started at 7:30 with the buy-in, and it went all the way until about 11:50 p.m. at night. So you got about 5 hours and 15 minutes of a pay-per-view. 4 hours and 45 minutes if you want to talk just from the jump at 8 o'clock when the actual pay-per-view started. Still a long time, especially when you're coming off of Money in the Bank pay-per-view that was less than a Monday Night Raw. Couple things right off the bat in the buy-in. The Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent, defeated Private Party to become the number one contender for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Dark Order are still the number one contenders. They have not fallen out of that, but we needed a new number one contender because due to the COVID-19 restrictions, Dark Order aren't allowed to travel from Canada to be a part of what they have going on in AEW. Up next started the incredibly weird order of matches in AEW's Double or Nothing. It was so strange to see it play out like this. The casino ladder match would have been being built for such a long time, kicked it off. And Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela replaced Rey Fenix due to an injury. As we were talking about making our predictions on Thursday, he wasn't able to attend. Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, and Luchasaurus all started off this match, and then the mystery opponent showed up. It was not MJF, as Z and I thought. It was the machine, the effing machine, Brian Cage, as you have heard on our intro. And he won the casino ladder match for a future AEW World Championship. He got the chip, and they didn't treat it like the WWE's Money in the Bank at all. As a matter of fact, they've already announced that at Fyter Fest is when he's getting his title shot against Jon Moxley. So Fyter Fest is the next AEW pay-per-view, and it's Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The next match was MJF versus Jungle Boy. MJF went over in what all of us are pretty much considering most likely the match of the night as far as pure technical wrestling is concerned. Then following that was the finals for the tournament for the inaugural AEW TNT Championship, which was a gorgeous belt. Cody defeated Lance Archer after 3 crossroads, 2 of which were in a row at the end of it, taking Lance Archer down. Next match was Chris Statlander having to take on Penelope Ford because Britt Baker was injured, as we were talking about in our prediction show as well. She had torn something. They said that she'll be on AEW this Wednesday to discuss it further. So Penelope Ford stepped in to take on Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander got the win in the singles match. Up next, Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes came out of nowhere, kind of, to defeat Shawn Spears. Up next was the no DQ, no countout match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida got a much-deserved win and is the brand new AEW Women's World Champion after defeating Nyla Rose in that amazing match. Let's be very honest. Probably the best women's match that AEW has had. Definitely the best showing by Nyla Rose for sure. Next was a singles match, a normal singles match, a regular, every rule matters singles match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley defeated Brody Lee. They have it on Wikipedia by technical submission. Excalibur said it was referee stoppage. It was a weird ending. We'll get into that. And then finally was the Stadium Stampede match where Matt Hardy and the elite of Adam Page-ish, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson defeated the inner circle of Chris Jericho, Jake Hagar, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. We'll kick it off. Z, I want to start with you. Give me your highlight of this pay-per-view, just the highlight, your number one highlight of it. Talk a little bit about it, and obviously we'll get into more details of this in a little bit.
My number one highlight from this pay-per-view as a whole would be the MJF Jungle Boy match. It it seemed like the only match on the card, and in fact, I think it might have been the only match on the card that was a professional wrestling match from start to finish. There was no I mean, they did a lot of stuff outside of the ring, but nothing that would push possible DQ in other wrestling promotions. They also they told a story, and what's more impressive was you got a 22-year-old kid and a 24-year-old kid that has 9 years of wrestling experience between them. Like what? And then you go back and watch the match, and you're like, wow, like that's incredible. They're only going to get better. But the one spot of that match that sounds out is the reverse hurricanrana onto the ring apron, and the way MJF just kind of like stood up, he even did the Ric Flair flop at one point into a pin. Like it was just a very, very well put together match. And I don't know if they rehearsed it or did it in the ring, but they both did a phenomenal job, and they both have big futures wherever their career may take them.
Yeah, Nick, give me one highlight for you. Again, doesn't have to be number one. Could might even be something different from Z's, or it could be the same and you have a different take.
Well, I was gonna, use Z's, but just to put, to spin off into something else because that was a great fucking match. I did enjoy the Nyla Rose and Cheetah match. I mean, the vignette that they ran before where Sheeta was talking about how she had beaten Awesome Kong before, and she's had a really good build coming into the match, and it wasn't where like Nyla Rose dominated the majority of the match. It was where my neighbor decides that they're going to cut the fucking grass every time that I do this. But so that match, yeah, was one of my favorites of the night, aside from the MJF and Jungle Boy match, because it was nonstop. It never got boring. But I do hope you talk about some lows, because there was something in that match that really kind of upset my stomach. So,
yeah, we're definitely going to get into lows. Smitty, give me a high review for this pay-per-view.
I really enjoyed the Stadium Stampede match as well. It was pretty. It reminded me a lot of Final Deletion to a certain degree, and also another reason, is I have a very casual fan who watches along with me when I watch these reviews, and she wasn't big on a couple of guys until she seen Stadium Stampede. Like she wasn't really big on the Matt Hardy character. So Stadium Stampede kind of brought her around to the whole Matt Hardy gimmick, and to Pride and Powerful, she wasn't really a big fan of those guys. So watching, part of my reason I enjoyed it, because I got somebody who's more of a casual fan to really enjoy certain characters and certain aspects of things.
Awesome.
And also, just really entertainment.
You guys talked about specific matches and as your highs. My high was actually a moment in a match. To start off the pay-per-view, obviously, was the Casino Ladder match. Orange Cassidy entering this match, I thought was again. I think I'm as big of a mark for Orange Cassidy as I was for The Rock when I first started watching The Rock. It's just funny to me. Him coming out, the first thing he does is walk up to the announcers going, "How do I win this match again?" Excalibur going, "Tony Khan has discussed this with you about 200 times on what you're supposed to do." Cassidy finally gets to the ring and he just reaches. Like, obviously, it's going to need a ladder. He reaches. He's like, damn it. He pulls a ladder over. He stands on a ladder while it's folded on its side on the mat, and he still can't reach because it's only like another 3-4 inches for him. He tries to lift the ladder up, but he doesn't open it, so it just falls, and he's like, I'm so confused. What the hell is going on? Colt Cabana coming out, and then ended up throwing him outside of the ring. I just love. And then again, Orange Cassidy, his first attempt at climbing the ring, he wasn't even climbing the fucking ring. He was on Brian Cage's back, who was climbing the fucking ladder, and he was like, "Oh, I can touch it now." It was great. It's definitely that point that I think that wrestling can perfectly have the entertainment factor and the work factor. Because if you saw the match between him and Phoenix on AEW Dynamite Wednesday before. That was a spectacular high-flying match with a lot of great moves, a lot of great counters, and a lot of fluid acts. So it's not like he's just this funny gimmick. He can work as well, which I'll be very honest. Rock had the original 5 moves of Doom. Orange Cassidy is at least working really well on top of keeping this comedy gimmick that is going over. So to me, that was a highlight for me, is just watching how well that comedy gimmick still worked in a 9-person elimination ladder match. You know, I mean, 9-person ladder match, because you would think that at points it's going to get kind of hokey. And sure, the little light kicks with the fans in the audience going, oh, all that stuff. You know, it has its moments, and I don't think they're overdoing it with Orange Cassidy, which in any organization that you see on a regular basis, this could be overdone easily, and I don't feel like they're killing it too much. We're going to go in reverse order, so we'll start with Smitty. Smitty, give me one of your lows for AEW's Double or Nothing, and talk until I come back because I need something else to drink.
Well, the low was more so of a technicality. It was one of my lows was the Penelope Ford Chris Statlander match, but that's I know it's not their fault. It was a last minute change, and with the Britt Baker injury, and so with Britt getting hurt, and I had some really nice expectations from that match because it was one of the matches I was looking forward to, because Britt was getting a pretty good push. And her Britt going down at this point was just kind of just a bad stroke of luck for this pay-per-view in general and what they were doing for her. So that was kind of just a low. I feel like it was just kind of pushed together last minute.
I'll talk on that a little bit. Yeah, because I agree. I think that match, the match originally, Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander, it was a match that is set up to be probably one of the better women's matches that we were going to have in AEW because of how well those two work as professional workers. So I agree. I thought that Penelope Ford stepping in, and it's not a knock on Penelope Ford. She might be an amazing wrestler, and sure, it could have been we're just getting this thrown together the day before. But man, that match, from what we were expecting with Britt Baker in it to what we got with Penelope Ford, was definitely a drop.
A little let down.
Yeah, I agree. I'll agree with you. I'm not arguing that at all. Nick, you said you really wanted to get into a low. Tell me, how are you feeling, sir? And what are you feeling about?
Well, okay, so it wasn't necessarily anything to do with the finish of a match or, you know, the match as a whole, but there were 2 points in the Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida match where I just got to say, I don't know who was in the production booth and decided to get these camera angles. But
I know exactly what you're talking about.
There was two instances, one where Nyla was climbing the top rope and her fucking whole asshole was just out there, and it was like they were up inside her. And then the finish of the match, yeah, dude, and the finish of the match where Shida pinned her, the whole 3 count was from the angle of Nyla Rose's tank. And it just, maybe, I don't know. This is where I would throw in the views and opinions expressed here are, you know, but it's just, dude, I don't need to see that shit. Maybe it's because she's a he-she. It probably is. But for fuck's sake, man, I did not want to have to see that twice.
Camera work throughout the whole show kind of got shoddy.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Well, we can determine whether or not it's because she's a he-she right now. If you saw Nia Jax's tape, would you be just as appalled?
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay, there it is.
Wow, that is not. I'm gonna go on record and say I thought I knew what you were talking about. That was not what I thought you were going to talk about. Because there was a moment when they're on the outside of the ring where like something happened between them, and it shot to a camera angle that was on the complete other side of the ring, the opposite side of where they were on. And because this was happening on the floor, you didn't see anyone. There was no one. All you saw was the empty ring and the fake crowd behind them. I was like, what kind of fucking camera angle is that? But yeah, I mean, all right.
Camera angle was kind of shaky throughout the whole show.
So. Oh yeah, it was horrible. Whoever the director was sucked. Z.
Are we on me now? All right. My low of the show is Sean fucking Spears, Ty Dillinger 0.5. Not even 2.0. Not even 2.0 because he left one company. He better have got a bigger paycheck because he left one company to do the same thing at another company. And not only that, but he lost the first ever bra and panties match in fucking AEW history. Like, what the fuck was that? Jesus fucking Christ. Not only did you have him lose it, I mean, he did get some offense in the match, but it was not 50-50. It was like 70-30 with Dustin just whooping his ass all over the fucking ring. Then you strip him down to his fucking boxers. He's got Tully Blanchard on his fucking pecker. So now, not only are you getting your ass kicked, but now you're a joke. So you're literally the exact same fucking thing. You were in the company, you left because you wanted to come to this company for a better opportunity. The only difference is you're still an idiot. You're still a fucking jobber. You're just on TV a little bit more. That's it. Fuck him. Fuck that. This is bullshit.
I can't say he's a jobber. He, it has listed him as 4-1 for 2020, won 5 out of his last 6 matches before, losing Dustin Rhodes. So I can't say he's a jobber, but I can say that I agree with you on the fact that it does seem like they dropped him down to a level we bitched about Mike Kanellis on WWE, the way that Maria was making him look and sound during that little 24/7 thing. And then especially with the whole pregnancy. It kind of dropped your standing and opinion of the person. And I can't argue with it, especially with the boxer thing. It's like
right.
You come out of – I get there's a certain level of humor and some of these heels, you're going to bring down a little bit of a peg. But getting stripped down is fine, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
what would have been better – what would have been better in my mind, just sorry to cut you off, but had the boxers been like all of Tully Blanchard's face, like the ones you can buy
instead
online,
of just right on the dick?
Yes.
That's exactly what I was about to
to me, that would have been more humorous. This to me was like bad humor as opposed to what could have been good humor.
Right. Obviously it was. It's just someone took an iron-on and put it on a pair of boxers. And to do it right there. And you're right. And that's what I was going to say. If he would have been stripped down and it would have been like the liner around like the waistband, if it would have been Tully's face around the waistband, or like you said, an all over type print of a myriad of faces everywhere. So it wasn't just like it was on his dick. I agree. I thought that the specific spot brought him down pretty low, and that should not have been done, especially to a talent as good as Sean Spears is. Continues. You were about to say something.
This was also one of those instances, though, where if you're going to have a squash match maybe not a squash match, if you're going to have a quick match in general, they should have had him lose earlier. Like when Dustin caught him by surprise and like had his shirt over his head or something, he should have pinned him then and won the match, and then continued to beat the shit out of him, and then it would have made the win. But the fact that they actually kind of had a match to where Spears could actually rebound and get some offense in made the whole thing really dumb that it ended the way it did. Like now they say he's 4-1, but I really don't every big match he's had, he's lost. It's like he beats a bunch of people that, that don't really matter, you know what I mean? But then he gets like against Cody or, a big name opponent and he like shits the bed. So I don't know. It stays dumb to me because I'm a huge fan and he doesn't really ever seem to get out of his like mid card slot. He's like Zack Ryder. Him and Zack Ryder should form a tag team and like be like him for Maybe the 3 of them can make it through. Job Squad 4.0.
Speardona.
I like that.
Smitty, you about to say something?
Well,
right
he
there?
is. I lost train of thought when he said the tag team. Like Sean Spears is still looking for a tag team partner in kayfabe. Tell him and tell her looking for him a tag team partner.
Oh no, it should be Zack Ryder, and the team name should be like "Our wives are more over than we are" or some shit like
that. The husbands.
Good one. Perfect. Sell it. Put it on a t-shirt.
My low for this pay-per-view is a match, and it's Cody versus Lance Archer. I thought
knew you were on that live tweet.
That match sucked. That match was long. That match was boring. That match had spots that when edited together at 11 p.m. when they were showing it, I was like, man, if that would have been the match we saw, that would have been a great match. Unfortunately, the way these guys were moving, I understand the selling of the big man, the monster, so on and so forth. I get that. You want to make somebody look strong. But Cody was just getting beaten down, and then Lance Archer would stop and just walk away for 20 seconds, and it would take away completely the validity of how hard he was beating, because it became boring. It's, I'm gonna beat you up and I'm gonna walk away, and I'm gonna beat you up and I'm gonna walk away, and I'm gonna talk shit to Big Swole, and I'm gonna beat you up and I'm gonna walk away, and then we got to slow this down because the old guys have to get involved and we have to hit their signature moves while looking at them. And again, I'm fine with even the spots of the old guys, but this match went 22 minutes. 22 minutes Archer and Cody went. I don't understand why it went more than 12. I think this match definitely went 10 minutes too long, and it took me out of the pay-per-view. I'll be very honest. And especially it followed MJF and Jungle Boy. And we watched MJF and Jungle Boy, and we're looking at this going, wow, what an amazing, well put together match. And maybe it's because Cody is known for being a part of amazing, well put together matches, that when you saw him in this, it was a letdown. Like, this was obviously, to me, it's Cody's worst performance in the AEW ring. Plus the finish, we were talking about it, on the prediction show. Lance Archer went 5-0. That was a clean, I guess not technically a clean win, because he got caught, looking off guard when he was looking at Tyson.
That was a clean win.
Like, it was a clean win.
No, technically it's not. But it's not like somebody hit him or to make it look like he was staggered. The entire match, anything Cody did to this guy, he made it, it was easy, blah, 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 get out of this. And then for the ending, even if it was a rolling crossroads, 2 in a row, it wasn't as bad as the Moxley Brody Lee ending, but it was something to where, after the match that you got of how boring and drawn out it was, that you were like, I'm glad this is over, but that was stupid. Like, it did not, there was no real pop in this match for me.
It wasn't totally stupid. I mean, Cody won his 7th tag team title and his first ever Raw tag team championship.
That belt is hideous.
It's a prototype.
No, it's not a prototype. That is the belt, and the only thing that it's missing is some of the gold stuff that's supposed to be on.
Yeah, gold.
That is
gold,
the belt.
Gold and nickel plating is what it's missing. But
That's
it also says, and no, hold on. They actually did a decent PR move here. They blamed COVID for it not being done, which is probably true. But they're like, oh, people hate this logo. So, by the way, that's not the real logo either. Like, the logo's going to change too. So that's just like the mock-up TNT logo. So that's not, the logo of the belt is actually going to change as well. From what I read from the manufacturer.
So the logo is going to be, so they're just basically changing the whole fucking belt.
Yeah, essentially, it's gonna have nickel. Okay, so your side straps are gonna be the same. Your like side plates that it has on it now, only you're gonna have nickel and gold plated. Then the actual belt shape is also going to be gold and nickel plated, but the TNT part of it isn't just. I don't know if it's going to be a different font. I don't know if it's going to be slanted. You know what I mean? They're going to adjust the TNT part of it.
Currently, that is the actual TNT logo that they just slapped on there, just
right
engraved. So I don't know, man. That fucking belt's hideous. Like, some people are saying the 24/7 title looks better than it. I don't believe that. But
it's on par. They're like, you know,
it's low.
It's like
It is
Christmas,
low.
red and green.
I might be, putting it more. I might be putting it more with the whole, original tag team copper plate belts. I thought those were hideous. Like, Grant, I think the 24/7 title is worse than those. But yeah, I think it's probably with the copper plated tag team belts more than the 24/7 title. Now, granted, again, they could jump all over this, and I when looking at that title, it definitely just looks like it's the metal engraved, and they finished some of the painting on it. Right? They got black, they got red, and that's it. So I agree that the belt looks completely unfinished, while the 24/7 title looks finished. Like, hey, this is what we're giving you. So I'll give them that.
Oh, sorry.
But no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just find it funny that, like Sean Spears, Cody left a certain company because he didn't want to be the top guy in the mid card. He wanted to be the top guy overall, and here we are, 3 years removed, and he's the top guy at the mid
card. Took himself out of the top guy for the whole company.
No, although, I get it.
I will say he's still the top guy of the whole company. I mean, it's still Cody fucking Rhodes for AEW.
I mean, okay, so the one thing they always said his dad did wrong was his dad always booked himself in the main event picture. And it seems like Cody's learned from that, like, not to overdo it. So
Dad Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Jeff Jarrett for sure was a problem in TNA. So Nick, I'll start off with you. Give me your whole rundown of this pay-per-view, how it was for you to watch from top to bottom. Obviously, we got your high, we got your lows, maybe some little things that we haven't talked about that you feel need to be mentioned.
It was a bit of a roller coaster. Like you had said earlier, it was weird that they started off the whole pay-per-view with the casino ladder match. I did not expect that. And a lot of times when they start pay-per-views off with a big match like that, I don't necessarily hate it. But I just think in this instance, that's something that they should have saved for later. I was not a big fan of the Chris Statlander match with Penelope Ford. The finish to Brody Lee and John Moxley had me rewinding it a couple times just to make sure that I could make some sense of how it ended. And definitely the highlight of the night was the MJF Jungle Boy match. The Stampede match was fine. I think it might have went a little long, but I was entertained by it. So all in all, it was okay. I don't know if it was worth the money I spent for it, but.
So let me ask you this, Nick, and I fully agree that this was a really weirdly put together card, top to bottom. Hindsight being 2020, obviously, it's going to be involved in this because we're going to talk. We know how these matches turned out, how they felt. How would you have booked this match? Because as this card, as it stands, it became the casino ladder match was first, then MJF Jungle Boy, then Cody and Archer, then Statlander and Ford, Dustin and Sean Spears, the AEW Women's title match, the AEW title match, and then the Stadium Stampede match. So those 8 matches. What would you have preferred to kick off the show? If not the casino, or is the casino ladder what you would have done, and then you would have done some things differently in between?
I probably would have put the casino battle royal or ladder match somewhere in the middle. But it's hard to say because if you would have told me that Sean Spears and Dustin would have had a shitty match like that, then I would have. You can throw that match anywhere for all I care. But if it would have been a normal, good match like it should have been, and they stopped fucking burying Sean Spears, I would have probably put that match to open the card. I still think I like the Stampede match to close it out. I think the Moxley match being just ahead of that was fine. I probably would have put the TNT Championship match before the Moxley match. Um, those are the only changes, and maybe Jungle Boy and MJF somewhere in between. Or, since Shawn Spears and Dustin had that match, you could have put MJF and Jungle Boy as the opening bout because it was such a technically sound, very good match, and that would have set the bar high for the night.
That's actually what I was thinking. I think Dustin and Shawn Spears is perfectly placed because of what it was. I don't think anything was good about that. That's right before the AEW Women's Title match. I agree with you. I would have started MJF and Jungle Boy. Plus, then if that match goes like that, you then leave the opening of a possibility that it's going to be MJF into the casino battle, into the casino ladder match. Man, we always say casino battle royal. But I agree. It leaves that opening. You're like, all right, he's already had this match. A couple matches have happened since. So I would have gone MJF and Jungle Boy. Then I would have gone with the women's match. Honestly, I would have. I know it's the second match, and it didn't properly deliver. But if I was thinking of the way I put this, MJF and Jungle Boy, Chris Statlander and Penelope Ford. Then I would have put Cody and Lance Archer for the TNT. Then after that, I would have done the ladder match. Then the Dustin Spears just where it was, and then title match, Stadium Stampede. It just the beginning half of this card just seemed in an order to where it threw you off. So why would you be doing this right now? Why would you be doing that right now? Z, give me your overall of AEW Double. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. And what would you rate Double or Nothing out of
10? 6.
Okay. Z, give me your overall thoughts on Double or Nothing. Give me a final rating on it and everything as
well. All right. So you're just talking about match, what we would rearrange.
No, just overall your overall take on.
No, but I'm saying that's what we were just discussing. So I wouldn't change the match card at all if I had a crowd, because then you have like the perfect up-down kind of roller coaster wave building back up to the Stampede match. But I don't have a crowd right now. It's COVID. So I would have rearranged everything to the point where I would have started off like a slow build and had the best match of the night at the very end instead of, it would have been I would have done the ladder match, then the championship match, then the Stampede match, and had everything else just kind of sprinkled around in the mid card. Okay. As far as my rating for the show, I'd give it a 6, but it gets an extra COVID point, so I'll give it a 7. And yeah, that's about
No,
it.
go ahead. Sorry, but I'm also. Is there like other things that you think should be talked about that we haven't really touched on much yet?
Well, I like the fact that Brian Cage is now in AEW, which means everybody on our sound bites, except for Ryan from Pro Wrestling Scorecard, is in a major wrestling
right now. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I went and got all the guys that were future people.
Yes, you did. You're a great talent scout. We appreciate that.
And that wasn't that all out from last year?
The women's title belt in AEW bothers me because it looks like Wayne Selinsky shrunk it down from like the actual title. But here's it literally looks like a 1980s toy foam belt from WWF. That's what it.
I agree. I think AEW started off really high with the AEW World Championship, and each belt they've debuted since has got progressively worse.
And and it's like they almost agree with me that women are inferior, so they make the belt much smaller.
I think the AEW tag titles were pretty sweet still.
The championship match was a former WWE guy facing another former WWE guy, announced by a former WWE announcer.
Well,
and the dumbest finish of the night was Brody and Mox because that was so dumb. Such a dumb end to such a good match.
God, yep. What?
I thought the match was
a good match.
I liked
see,
it.
man.
I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't like it the same way I liked MJF and Jungle Boy, but it's also two different styles of wrestling here, and I liked what they did up until I would have done more with that finish. I wouldn't have just made it like so quickly, like. And when did we get rid of this? You know, like the arms got to drop 3 times. When did we get rid of that?
Like we got rid of that a long time ago, but
Well,
everyone.
they need to bring it back.
Well, at least in like other wrestling promotions, they lift the arm at least once, and if it falls, then it's done. They didn't. It's like he was like, oh, and then his arm went down, and the ref was like, oh, it's done, it's fucking done. You know,
Yeah,
it wasn't even like
all his arm did was this. Like all it did was like fall in his body. Like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
They kind of do the same thing with Pac's brutalizer though. They don't usually wait for the whole arm to drop. The referee will stop most matches when Pac blocks in that brutalizer.
But again, then that's a referee stoppage, and the person who lost the match didn't lose the match. They didn't tap. They didn't pass out. It's a referee stopped it. If you're not doing any type sort of,
but it's still counted as submission.
But again, it's not a submission because you're not even giving the person who loses the match a chance to go, oh shit, wait, no, I have to, like, lifting their arm one time. I totally okay. It's a submission because then you lifted the arm and it fell. That person's not responding. We're out of it. Sure, back in the 80s, early 90s and stuff, you could do the 1, 2, 3. But now with everyone talking about, injury stuff and concussion protocol, so on and so forth, I get the one arm thing. If that person goes limp in the middle of a submission, it doesn't mean that they're out. It totally could mean they're thinking of a way to counter. If you don't lift that arm and show that the person is actually passed out, then it's the referee's decision that that match stops, not the person who is in the submission hold. It's stupid.
But it makes matters even worse. And it, like, more so to your point, he just took a paradigm shift and kicked out at 1. So to say he's now passed out because he just locked in a rear naked chokehold is stupid. You got to give it some, like, let it sink in, let it marinate a little bit, and that's what you get with the arm raise. But I don't know. Whatever. But yeah,
I agree that paradigm shift is the most undersold paradigm shift since Dean Ambrose was doing the double arm DDT. That was the most protected finish in all of wrestling for the longest time, and then someone kicked out of it at 1. As a matter of fact, all finishers were kind of made to go away in this Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which happens. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to protect every finisher at all times, but some things you want to still make look strong. I will say this. I fucking hated that match. I didn't hate it. Cody Archer hated it. But again, it was a singles match. There were no now I had to look it up, and I even asked Daniel because we were watching this together from Pro Wrestling Scorecards. I had to ask him. I was like, "Hey, is this a no DQ match, or are AEW championship matches automatically no disqualification, similar to how they are in NXT? Because NXT made that announcement that any title match in NXT is automatically no disqualification. And
so there must be a winner.
Nope, this is a regular singles match. Yeah. He's like, nope, this is a regular singles match that could end in a disqualification or a count out or any of those things. And and he goes, this is up to ref's discretion. And again, we have this problem on AEW where I'm taken out of it. Was I enjoying it? Sure. But I would have enjoyed it if they said it was a no DQ match. Otherwise, I'm looking at it going, why isn't that a DQ? Why are they still out on the outside of the ring? Where does this matter? And look, I am not shitting on just AEW because I had this problem with the first Chris Jericho Kenny Omega match in New Japan that everyone talks so highly about and got 8 million fucking stars and first broke the scale. They were on the outside way too fucking long in that match. It didn't make any sense that that Red Shoes was letting them go that long. Same with this. Same with a lot of matches. If there's no standard thing to abide by, what's the fucking point of making it a standard match? It'd be like Orton and Edge going on at fucking Backlash and then being on the outside of the ring for 2 minutes. And you're like, wait, this is supposed to be the greatest wrestling match normal. I don't get it. There needs to be a rules set and standard. Referee discretion is way too stupid, especially for a title match. Z, you're about to say something.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is like I'm totally on board with what you're saying because especially for the psychology standpoint of the business, like you need a set rules and standards so that way you can you have a direction to go. If you're going every direction, it doesn't make sense to most people. You're never gonna grab a casual fan. But like someone like you're a stickler for like, okay, what can you do? What can't you do in this match? Now me, I've gotten to the point where that's just the way AEW is. So now I don't look at it as rules and standards. I look at it as a style of wrestling. This is the way they do it. This is their style. Like it's up to the ref. That's fine. So now I've just gotta fuck the rules. Like throw the rules out the window when you watch the match. And the match is actually really good. But like you said, if it was a no DQ match. But this is the product. This is the product they're selling us, and I've just learned to enjoy it. But so I personally, I think it was a great match. No, not great.
Normally, I would
a good match.
I would normally agree with that, but the problem with this is AEW has set into place that wins and losses matter. Now, granted, we don't know why they matter, but if you're constantly saying this, if you're constantly telling the fans that wins and losses matter, this is the way this match should go, this is the way this match should be portrayed, and then you're not following it, then it's a casual fan or not. I am a wrestling fan. I will watch anything and everything, and I fell in love with New Japan watching it. You know what I'm saying? Without knowing who these people were. I didn't know who the fuck Tanahashi was. I didn't know who fuck Kota Ibushi was until he showed up in the Cruiserweight title. You know, I didn't know who a lot of those guys were. Just starting watching it because I heard of things that in this. You know, I fell with love because I was able to follow it, and then you were able to follow these characters. If you're giving me matches like this and there's a thing to follow with it, I'm good. I don't care. I'm not forcing you to have this. I'm not forcing you to have no DQ matches. I'm not forcing you to have pure wrestling matches. I'm not saying I love the death matches more. You need to give me more death matches. I'm saying stick to what you're telling me. That's it. Because if what you're telling me on the outset, everything follows that, I don't care. You know, as long as you're sticking to your own shit. If AEW never said wins and losses matter, if AEW never said we're going to do a 20 count for the ref, if AEW never said there's countouts and blah, 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 DQs and stuff, if they would have said, look, we're just going to let matches go, then you know what? I'd have been like, fuck yeah, Moxley and Brody Lee was a really good fucking match. But when I'm taken out of it because you're telling me it's not supposed to follow these things that it's doing, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I'm with you on the whole 20 count thing too, because in all reality, you could make a 20 count in wrestling last 2 minutes, as far as like ref interaction and shit like that. So you can do a lot outside of the ring, but these motherfuckers don't even count. They don't even act like they're counting to 20.
Right. And that's what it is.
They just follow the
ECW.
Action. They just follow the action around like it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Every single match.
Did you just say they're a lot like ECW?
Like I said, the referee discretion thing reminds me a lot of old school ECW, where they will just let things fly and just let the match keep going.
It's not, because old school ECW, every match was an ODQ match.
Yeah.
Every match in ECW had the stipulation where there was no disqualification.
Oh, no, because I can tell you right now that's false, because I watch a lot of ECW. Like, one of the reasons I got redid my network is so I can watch a lot of ECW hardcore TV. Not all matches were only pretty much like big feud matches. Like, you also had matches like when we had Dean Malenko were technical matches, which they were covered at ended in DQs. There were disqualification finishes. There were count out finishes in ECW.
The original
just kind of depended on the severity of the matches.
The original concept was they were all DQ matches. I mean, obviously, when they went to TV, they had changed some shit up. But the original niche of ECW was that they were extreme, so they got rid of DQs.
I was watching for 93. I'm in 96 right now for ECW.
Congrats.
So like my whole point of that was like this. At that point, when I said like it was a lot like the ECW, like the way they carry the matches, a lot like ECW style. How ECW security style, and they're pretty much in their prime, like where the referee's discretion the referees really shouldn't matter as much in a wrestling match, in my mind, anyway. But that's a that's a different opinion.
It's a situation where if it's difficult to follow, you're not going to have people enjoying it. And I'll be very honest, I enjoyed a lot of that pay per view. I'm not trying to say that pay per view sucked in any way, shape, or form. If I'm giving it a rating, I'm going to be up there with a 6 as well. You know, I think that this and if we're doing the COVID point, it gets an extra 0.5. That means it's a 6.5. You know, definitely better than Money in the Bank. I think MJF and Jungle Boy right now is just a standout great match. I thought the ladder match, while we were all talking shit about it, you know, giving it like, oh, it's the Money in the Bank match, just, you know, competitors coming in at a different time. It wasn't, and it was their own spin on it, and it was a good ladder match to watch. I thought it was really fucking good.
That giant poker chip spot was good too.
Yeah.
Oh damn! How to kill Cage?
Oh yeah. And then again, they gave us one of the best women's matches, if not the best women's match that AEW has ever given us, with Sheeta taking that title off of Rose in the no DQ, no count out match. But again, Nyla Rose also gave me what I feel is her best performance in AEW since watching it. You know, I thought she was great. And again, I'm not saying I agree that the Brody Lee Moxley match was a good match. Had it been a no DQ match, I would not have taken me out of it. I thought the fucking Stadium Stampede match was fun. The whole Matt Hardy getting dumped into the pool of reincarnation was spectacular, right? Especially when he the first coming out with the first version of Matt Hardy, because you can't call it Matt Hardy V1 because that is a WWE copyright. But the first version of Matt Hardy is what they called it. I love that, especially with the Matt facts. A Matt can hold his breath for 346 seconds. Them coming up and then Santana Ortiz reading the fucking thing as it was going, I thought was wonderful. The way they did that match, I thought was the chair of wheels. The ice bin, this will help with the inflammation. Yeah, the fucking ref calling the penalty because of the celebration. The 100-yard Northern Light suplex.
Chris Jericho throwing a challenge flag to Aubrey.
Then going in the replay booth
and then he tells her on TV, "You're a shitty ref."
Again, it was great. It was a really well put together match.
Now,
the smaller things that I'm upset about, I'm not too upset. As a matter of fact, if now that I'm even talking more about it, I'm probably giving this a 7.5 because I thought it was good. I thought it was better than decent. I think it was good. Z, I didn't even get your rating.
You did.
I gave it a 7. With the COVID bump up, I gave it a 7.
All right, Smitty.
But what I was gonna say is Nick. Oh
no, go ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say Nick said something earlier about the Stampede match maybe being too long, but we shit all over Money in the Bank for being 27 minutes and calling it too short. And the Stampede match was only like 42 minutes. So
34.
I mean, like, what is your magic? What is your magic number here?
You know what? If I think about it, I think it was too long for me. Only not because of the match. So I'm going to retract my statement. But it's because I was watching it this morning, laying in my bed in an awkward position with my daughter next to me, asking me, "Why are they doing that? Where did that come from? He shouldn't have hit him with that." So I was like waiting for it.
So another thing your child has ruined for you. Got it.
I definitely thought the pay-per-view was too long. Fucking all that fucking time. Over 4 hours. I thought was
stupid. So I texted you last night and I was like, "Oh, what platform is it on?" Because I thought I was going to start at the beginning of the pay-per-view, and I started in the middle of the Stampede match because it was still live.
Nice, Smitty. Your overall for the AEW pay-per-view and your rating.
See, I really enjoyed it. One thing that AEW's done a really great job for is making every match feel different. Every match in that card felt different. Nothing actually felt the same going from match to match. I'm a huge Brian Cage fan, so I did kind of mark out when Brian Cage came out for the Casino ladder match. Like the way he pretty much killed fucking Darby Allin with that F5. was pretty cool.
F5000.
Yeah, but so that was pretty cool. Like the shit like we've pretty much can all agree that the women's division in AEW, it started off pretty lackluster, but over the last couple months, it's been getting better and better and better. And the women's title match pretty much showed that. Like like I said, one of my biggest down things is more so it became a down because of just it was just
Today, Junior.
Say the women's match, the Statlander Penelope Ford match, taken for what it was there, but it still was different. The Moxley Lee match, I didn't think it was as bad as you guys think it was, but like
no one said it was bad. I just said it didn't follow anything, so I couldn't follow. It didn't follow a specific what it was set out at the beginning to be. So therefore, to me, it was stupid. It was still, if it was a no DQ match, I would have thought that match was amazing.
Like every finish kind of felt different. Nothing really felt too screwy outside of that kind of the Moxley Lee finish. But like, I thoroughly enjoyed the entire pay-per-view. And
what do you give it out of 10?
I'm giving it an 8.
Let's move it on. 8? Highest fucking rating. Wow. All right. 6 from Nick, 7 from Z, 7.5 from me, 8 from Smitty. Overall, good production by AEW. Thank you so much for that pay-per-view. Obviously, we appreciate all of the wrestling going on right now.